evolution can be defined as the sum total of adaptive changes. Sum total of adaptive changes from pre-existing. It can be defined as a sum total of adaptive changes from pre-existing or old forms that have taken place over a long period. I said organic evolution can be defined as the sum total of adaptive changes from pre-existing or old forms that is taking or that is taking place over a long period of time, resulting individuals of form, structure, and function among organisms. So you can see that no matter how, the first one, they still believe it must have lived or have taken time for a long period of time. It will be billions of years, changes, long time, and from there they will change to another form. And that one will start existing. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. And if you actually follow it and get to see some organisms, I just want to take this a little bit example. He said they have lived for a long time. There is an organism known as amphiosus. These amphiosus, they look like fish. They are supposed to be undercodates. They look like fish, but they are not fish. Now these are the organisms they believe that they must have lived billions and so many years, and they now change their form. Change their structure and the function to form another organisms. And those ones will continue. So the one they form will also live, developing different adaptive changes, occurring functions, structures, until they will live maybe for many years and generations and change to another one. Now there's also an organism, that one probably they lived and now turned to Pisces or fishes. Among the fishes, there's one that's called mudfish. Mudfish, M-U-D, mudfish. Now if you see mudfish, the head here look like frog. Yes, they look like toads. And this mudfish, God so much created it that it has a gill chamber that can contain water. You see them, they come out of water. I know there are some plants that grows out of aquatic areas. So they'll come and stay there. And you know that fishes, they respire by gills. So how then does the gills allow it to stay for almost 30 minutes hanging there without having infect or without dying? Unlike other fishes that you just bring out and keep it on the ground there, where there is, by the time you just say Jack Robinson, you just be seeing if you've been watching the web. They are trying to grasp, because the gills are not meant to function on land. So these amphibious mudfish, they have gill chamber that can contain or retain water. I know the gill chamber is found inside the water fluid, so it will stay there. So by the time they come out and hang on the branch of a tree outside the water, remember the gills is embedded in the water in that chamber. It will help and sustain it, so it will breathe. And after some time, it will now jump. So when you look at that mudfish with the head like a typical frog, so they believe that such organisms, they live for a long time. Start changing. Probably that one has lived for a long time and the head begins to start looking like the normal triangular head of a fish. Some of them is now developing like a frog. So they believe that they live for a long time, and by the time you know it, they are changing a stature, in a structure, and their function, that is adaptive features. That is their belief. So in the time they felt that some of these organisms evolved from microorganisms and live for a long time, and they begin to change. So remember that they belong to the phylum amphibians, the class amphibians. Am I communicating? And remember they're also, both the anthropods, all of them belong to vertebrates. So these will live for a long time. That is the belief that brought about this organic evolution. And they don't believe that they were created. They don't believe that God created them. They just believe that those organisms existed. My question is, who created that? How does that organism come to existence? I might say something now. So they live for a long time and then evolve to another type of organism. Adaptive change, adaptive structure, their structure, and again their function in different areas until what it has changed to. That is for organic evolution. Am I saying something now? And of a truth, if you see some of those things, you might even believe that God is not existing when you hear them talk. But for what we're doing now is the one that is unique. So if you study it abroad in the universities, you wake up with that. So let's look at the theory of organic evolution. The theory of organic evolution. It says so. The theory of organic evolution. 1. So let's take it number 1, or hyphen. The first living organisms is believed. The first living organisms is believed to have come from certain molecules. The certain living organisms. The first living organisms is believed to have come from certain molecules that combined together to form the first living things. I repeat myself. I said the first living organisms, the organisms that have first existed, have been believed to have come from certain molecules that combine together, certain, C-E-R-T-A-I-N, certain molecules that combine together to form the first living thing. Did you get it? There are molecules, all of us, and we all say know what are molecules. That these are molecules they lived, and they now change and became living things. I don't know. Molecules are they living things? No. That's the first molecules that existed. They believe that it must have stayed and they have changed as they combine themselves. They are combining and they form the first set of living things. That is the theory and belief of evolutionists. Number 2, point 2. Various organisms evolved. Various organisms evolved. Various organisms evolved from the first living organisms. They believe that the various organisms evolved from the first living organisms. They said the first living organism came as a result of combination of different molecules. Did I say something now? So that's first living organisms that evolved. I'm talking about their belief. That first living organisms that evolved from the combination of molecules now results change to form other living organisms. Did you get it? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Those of us at the back, do you understand what we're talking about? So now, do you understand what we're talking about? Good, please do answer. I'm sure that you have eaten something. If you have not eaten, you're fasting. A lot of people are fasting now. Point number 3. The complex organisms. The complex organisms evolved from simple organisms. The complex organisms evolved that is their belief in their theories, evolved from simple organisms. The complex organisms evolved from simple organisms. Have you written that? So they believe that they evolved from simple organisms. Remember the first one, they said the first living organisms, they said to have come from certain molecules that come together or combine to form the first living organisms. And those first living organisms, in the second point, evolved and developed in structure, in function to form other living organisms. And these ones are saying too that complex organisms have simple organisms and complex organisms. So the first one developed to form simple organisms. So these ones now are developing from complex simple organism to complex organism. Did you get that? And simple organisms, majority of them have to do with unicellular organisms that are microscopic. So if those microscopic, according to their belief, after staying for years, billions of years, they evolve, they change to form complex ones. And we are involved among the complex organisms. Remember, all these things we are talking about also include the plants. Am I saying something now? They all include both plants and animals. So let's look at another point of their belief. They said all organisms changes from generation to generation. All organisms changes from generation to generation, producing descendants with new modifications. Like all organisms changes from generation to generation, producing some descendants. They produce some descendants with new modifications. Change from generation to generation and then produce some descendants with new modifications. Are you following? The last one said these living organisms are related to each other in one way or the other. The living organisms are related to each other in one way or the other. And if we can cast our memory back for what we have been doing right from JS, and let's say right from SS1, we find that by the time we start talking about classification of living things, we started from the simple to the complex, isn't it? From simple to the complex, both plants and animals. And they say from generation to generation, and they relate with each other. In terms of relation, let's talk about our relationship with plants and animals. We depend on plants for our feeding, isn't it? We depend on plants for our oxygen, in as much as there's oxygen in the atmosphere. Am I saying something now? Now, plants depend on animals too for their carbon dioxide and also some waste product from animals which they utilize or help them, or let's say for their growth, which come across, brings about proper yield, or bring about what we call manure. Am I saying something now? And those ones that live inside the soil, that help to aerate the soil and cause it to be fertile, God bless you. So plants utilizes what every nutrient that have put there for their own growth. So they also help. And the others that we cannot see, of which they say they believe that every living thing started from, apart from they are formed from the molecules that combine together, and that is those microorganisms. The microorganisms will deal with the animals and plants that are dead as decomposers, and then they will still act as manure. So which means right, they relate with each other, in one or the other, to sustain their life. Did I say something now? That is the belief of evolution and evolutionists. So let's also look at theories, other theories. Remember we said these are theories of organic evolution. That's most. So let's look at pure theories of evolution. There are people that sat down and looked at all these things and came up with it and bring up a theory. And they stand as a hypothesis. What is it before theory or hypothesis? Is it after theory become hypothesis? Hypothesis before theory. All right. So So with all that they did with the research, they came up with theories. So we'll look at theories of evolution. And there are two major theories of evolution. I saw some of you must have been one or the other heard about the names, but let's look at what they also believe in their research. Theories of evolution. Please, am I communicating? I hope nobody is left behind. Answer anybody. I'm not talking to those that just came late. Nobody is left behind. Anybody? Anybody? So if they ask you a question on the summary of the theories of organic evolution, you can comfortably answer them. Can you?
Yes, ma'am.
Please do answer me. Don't skip your mouth. Let me know that I was not making noise and I was not talking to myself. Okay? For centuries, people believe that all living organisms appeared on Earth in the same form. For centuries, or say for many years, if it is that one. In the same form that they have now. All living organisms appeared on Earth in the same form that they have now, including you and I. Shelly? Don't write including you and I. Have you written including you and I? Who wrote it? Are you Ranzeros? How can you write including you and I? They said all living organisms. Are we not a living organism? Appeared on the surface of the earth the way we are now. Well, that's why I said including you and I. And you are not writing including you and I. Don't worry. You go and write including you and I. Okay? Stop. Then, what are those things? Okay, including you and I. The scientists. First of the scientists, however, we are puzzled over certain things. We look at the things that we are puzzled about. Scientists. I hope I know the spelling of puzzle. Am I correct? Yes. Okay, puzzled. Over the following. 1. Great variety of organisms. They puzzled over the great variety of organisms and the similarities. Between similarities and differences, or similarities between different groups of organisms. I said the scientists, however, were puzzled over 1, the great varieties of organisms. Number 2, the similarities between different organisms, different group of organisms. Did you understand it? I should repeat myself. I said the scientists generally, especially those that are involved or believe so much in evolution, believe that all living organisms appeared on Earth in the same form of which they are now. And not only that, the scientists involved, however, became puzzled over 1, the great varieties of organisms. 2, the similarities noticed among different groups of organisms. But by the 19th century, of which we belong to now, but by 19th century, by 19th century, the idea of evolution, by 19th century, the idea of evolution that living organisms descended from a common ancestor. By 19th century, the idea of evolution that living organisms are descended from common ancestor had occurred to a number of scientists. So what are we not saying here? We are trying to let us know that in recent centuries or for centuries, most of these evolutionists believe that all living things appeared the way they are seen now. But after so many research, which occurred by the recent scientists, this 19th century, they did not start by that, they just developed an idea that evolution of living organisms are descended from a common ancestor. They believe they come from a common ancestor, and these occur to a number of scientists. Only a few number of scientists actually then believe, occur to them. Those ones make their research and they believe that every living organism descends from a common ancestor, that all of them have common ancestors of which they come out from. It might be, let's assume, let me take for instance, which we are going to come up with. There is this, we'll still come up with it, but I want to see what I can use commonly as an example. How many of you know the animal they call salamander? You know salamander? Yes. What class does it belong to in animal? Invertebrates. Reptilia. Are you sure? Yes. Salamander. Are you sure salamander? Yes. Salamander is not reptilia. They look like reptile. It's amphibian. Salamander is amphibian. But they look down and check your textbooks. They look like reptiles. These are the ones, you know, they said the 19th century evolutionists and scientists believe that recent animals, they occur from a common descendant. I want to use that. If you see salamander, the only different thing in terms of the reptiles is that the body is a little bit longer. And the limbs, the forelimbs are somehow, and the hind limbs is not like the normal amphibians. How many of you know newts? What class does it belong to? Huh? Celia, are you sure? Newt? They're amphibians. And when you look at them, actually they don't really actually look like the common amphibians that we're using. At your stage, we use two common ones, and that is just the toad and the frog. Am I saying something now? Was it in this class I said there's a snake that have wings and they have comb? It's in this class. Now this one they said common ancestor, but this is under reptile. So maybe those ones are the ones that lived for long and they evolved to apes, and that is birds. And the cries like hawk is in the northern part of Nigeria. So they believe they come from a common ancestors after a long time. That's the recent one. And they are trying to prove because of the research they have made, although all of them still believe that they started from non-living things, which is the molecules that comes together to form living things. And those ones form simple, and the old simple live for a long time, evolve to complex. Am I communicating?
Yes, ma'am.
So in that aspect, that all of us, this is under academics. And I hope you understand what I'm saying. Because me, I don't belong to the same ancestor with those ones. I don't even believe I came together with apes that look like human. They are all homos, but we are Homo sapiens. We have a lot of things in common. Very much lot of things with the apes. So they will say that both the apes, the monkey, all of us now, came from the same ancestor. Are you getting what I'm saying now? Am I communicating?
Yes, ma'am.
So I was just trying to use some things as an example that might come from the same ancestor. We'll still get to some examples, like evolutionists here, who believe that some organisms, there are certain things. Let me use the giraffe. We know giraffe with a long neck, isn't it? So they believe that the early giraffes does not have long neck. But in the process of trying to stretch their neck to cut the leaves, the leg begin to get more elongated. So they believe the neck began to elongate like this until finally the last stage of giraffes now formed long neck. Not the childish story. You saw it as a childish story, but this is where it started. It started here. It's recently they will draw it and say childish story. It's part of the landmark example of theory. And it's in your Christian paper, both objective, with the diagram of those giraffes. It's in your textbook. So they believe they started. So in the process of stretching, like now, you know I am very tall. If I start going like this, what? I'll block if I start going like this. If I continue for a long time, I will now grow to my children will now have a little, which is, we will still get to where it is being disproved. Am I saying something now? Yes. Then one of them, after looking at what the landmark in his own theory, we will write them down. I'm just giving us an example of what in the 19th century, what they, after some research, and what they believed. So you now go to the next person, and that is Darwin. Darwin now noticed there are differences, there are similarities, but they cannot say where that similarities, how it came about. You know, variations are differences that exist. So he knew there are differences among individuals that actually came from the same place, but he cannot say how it came about. So that one now knocked out the landmark theory with what Darwin. After Darwin talking on, he knew there are some, but he does not know how it came about. And that is when Gregory Mendel now came and found out that those differences we have noticed is as a result of gene. Am I saying something now? Yes. What was the last sentence, please? In 1809, that's a paragraph. In 1809, in 1809, a French biologist known as Jean Lamarck in 1809, a French biologist known as Jim Lamarck established an important theory in evolution. Established an important theory in evolution. His work spread the idea of evolution, although it was disproved. His work spread the idea of evolution, although his theory was disproved. In the same 1809, the British naturalist, I should spell British, naturalist, N-A-T-U-R-A-L-I-S-T, British naturalist Charles Darwin. naturalist Charles Darwin published the British naturalist Charles Darwin published a book that revolutionized published a book that revolutionized the science of biology. First off, the famous book on the origin of species, the famous book on the origin of species by means of natural selection. The famous book on the origin of species by means of natural selection. This outlined how present-day organisms evolved. This outlined how present-day organisms, This outlined how present-day organisms evolved from earlier different species. So, Charles Darwin does not actually believe what Jim Mark was saying. So he came up with a natural selection, how organisms came up. Paragraph. The modern view evolution. That is the modern Darwinism. The modern book, Evolution, in brackets, New Darwinism. Modern or new, okay, let's remove this. New Darwinism. New.
Speak louder.
D-A-W. Darwin. D-A-W. Oh, D-A-R, sorry. Darwinism. New. I repeat myself. The modern view evolution, that is New Darwinism, brackets, combine Darwin's theory with our present day knowledge. Combines Darwin's theory with our present day theory of genetics. What? With our present day knowledge of genetics and molecular biology. Now this is where he talking about. The mud skipper has modified gill chamber. The mud skipper has a modified gill chamber adapted to hold water. Modified gill chamber adapted. For example, the mud skipper to enable it to breathe out of water for a long period. To enable it to breathe out of water for a long period. To enable it to breathe out of water for a long period. Like I've explained before, full stop. This fish has a way of life that is quite different. This fish, that is the mud skipper, have a way of life that is quite different from that of the strictly ancestors. Strictly aquatic ancestors. I said this fish has a way of life that is quite different from that of its strictly STRICKLY strictly aquatic ancestors. Like we have explained before, we know that most aquatic organisms, they stay in water. They can't come out of the water and stay there up to 5 or 10 minutes. Some of them they will die off. But the mud skipper, that is the example they are using. Like I mentioned before, that the belief can stay for a long time and change. So Charles Darwin in his own research does not believe what the landmark has said. So he has to get it disapproved. So that will teach us to look at the major theories now. Major theories accounting for the origin of life on Earth. That's a side topic. Major theories accounting for the origin of life here on Earth. Major theories accounting for the origin of life here on Earth. Major theories accounting for the origin of life on Earth. And these are: 1, life was created by a supernatural being. Life were created by a supernatural being at a particular time. By a supernatural being at a particular time. In brackets, special creation. I repeat myself. We said the major theories that had to do or give that account for the origin of life. After all these things they are saying, he said life was created by a supernatural being at a particular time, in brackets, special creation. That is after most research. At least they believe, some of them now believe that no matter how, even if they say from molecules of different years on living things that combine together to form living things. But what created that living things? How does that non-living things come to an existence? Did I say something wrong? So with that, they come up and believe that life was created by a supernatural being. That is special creation. Number 2, life arrived on this planet from elsewhere. Life arises on this planet from elsewhere, and that is what they call I don't know. Can somebody pronounce this for me? Huh? Cosmozoan. So they believe life arrived on this planet from elsewhere. That is some of them. Where? Elsewhere from where? The life arises from this planet, on this planet, from elsewhere. Where is the place? Huh? Your father's house. You said heaven. Where is the heaven? From molecule. Okay. The first one they have come to realize it was made from a supernatural being. The second set believe that it arrived from somewhere. Where did it arrive from? That is what brought about this movement. From your state. From space. How did that space come about? From other planets. What made the planets? We have about 7 planets, yes? Yes. You see it in this school. Around where?
It's also in junior school.
Which rock?
In junior school.
Any rock in junior school?
Yes.
Giant rock. Not giant. I'm just hearing it for the first time after spending almost 6 years. There are many rocks inside that place. Okay, let's go. Number 3 part of it said, life arose from non-living matter. Life arose from non-living matter on numerous occasions. Life arose from non-living matter on numerous occasions. On numerous occasions by a process of spontaneous generation. By a process of spontaneous. I should spell spontaneous? S-P-A-N S-P-O-N-T-A-N S-P-O-N-T-A-N E-O-U-S. Spontaneous generation. Another point, they believe life has no origin. The life has no origin. And that is steady states. In bracket, steady states. In bracket, steady states. In bracket, steady states. They believe that life has no origin. Okay? Another one. Life arose according to chemicals. Life arose according to chemicals and physical laws. Life arose according to chemicals and physical laws. In brackets, biochemical and organic evolution. Biochemical and organic evolution. So that is it, the major theories of all the research. Some others still counting for all. Some that believe that it arises from biochemical or organic evolution. Some arises that it does not come from anything. It's just on a steady state like that. I don't know how to. Some believe that it appears from nowhere. Life just comes from nowhere. Some believe that it is created by special supernatural creation. So that is that. So let's look at the theories of evolution by Jean Nama. Theories of Evolution by Lamarck. Theories of evolution. These are the two major people when you talk about evolution. You see it in most of your past questions. Why? Theories. They'll ask you to list the theories of evolution, the theories of Lamarck, or the theories of Darwin. So one of them believe in use and disuse. The other believe in natural selection. Am I saying something? Yes. So let's look at the theory of Lamarck. Paragraph. Lamarck Lamarck, a French zoologist. Lamarck, a French zoologist, was the first to suggest that organisms undergo evolution. Lamarck, a French zoologist, was the first to suggest that organisms undergo evolution. Was the first to suggest that organisms undergo evolution. In 1801, his idea of organic evolution, that is Lamarck's idea of organic evolution, on theories, and they are one, and they are that great change his theory believes on great change in environments results in corresponding changes in the species. I said that great changes in an environment results in a corresponding state change. So he believed in his theory that changes that occur within the environment also corresponds with its change. That there are great changes occurring within the environment. So the organisms there correspond. They are corresponding to that change and also changes. Now point number 2, he said that those changes causes the organisms to form new structures. That the changes causes the organisms to form new structures. This is the theories of Lamarck. That the changes causes the formation of new structures. So it causes the organisms to form new structures or habits to adjust to the prevailing environment. To adjust to the prevailing environment. So what Lamarck is saying, that there are great changes that are found happening in the environment where they are. And the organisms or the species within there are also corresponding to the changes on the environment. And again, he's trying to say that those changes that are occurring in the environment where the species of organisms are, that is also causing the organisms to change in their form, in their stature, and as well in their habits, so that it will correspond to the changes within the environment. Are you getting me? Yes. For example, then even the lions, he was also playing with them. the elephant became his car that he sits on and they drive with. So he has a way of calling those animals and they'll come. Now, the landmark is trying to say that living species in a particular environment, that the organisms that are there, after some time, they started adapting the changes that occur within the environment. The species that are there will start corresponding to that change. In the next theory, he now said the living organisms within the environment will be caused to start behaving, adapting the structure, the function, and also the attitude they notice within that environment. That was what made me remember Tarzan and the jungle. But they still did not change it because Tarzan, in as much as the one they did, he was speaking English. But he was still understood. The animals, they don't talk, but they made some of them. He has a way of communicating with them. So he grew up without clothes, but they just covered the other part. So when he saw the normal human being that looked like him, he was behaving wild. I don't know whether you watched the one they took him to city. That was another terrible thing. Because his whole life changed. So that is one of the things that, if we want to say, maybe those that acted it were trying to prove the landmark theory of evolution. Is that clear? Is that clear? We said the second one we said was that these changes causes the organisms to form new structure or habits to adapt to the prevailing environment. Now, number 3. He said that organisms then developed specialized characters. Organisms then developed specialized characters by use and disused organs. By use and disused organs. They came up, the organisms that are involved in that environment or there now developed specialized characters by the use and disuse of organs, which means the organs that are being used and continuously used, they become so adapted and so specialized in those ones, and they can be transferred to another generation, which I believe is not true. So he believed the ones that are not in use will be discarded. So he now believes in the one that is used, in the theory of use and disused organs. Somehow, you might want to believe, if you know how to ride bicycle, you know you will learn it. You know there's a topic under nervous system. Instinctive behavior and non-instinctive behavior. That is learned behavior. And once you learn them, even if you like be sleeping, when you were small, in the first day they took you or you came back, you want to, because you see people are holding Bible. You have younger ones that are doing it, but you did it too. And you want to write. Either you hold it like this, and they say you write from your one will go like this. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Some will go like this, some will even tear the notebook in the name of writing. But at a certain time, you begin to learn to write. And you write well. So even if you are sleeping and they wake you up and say, okay, dictation, write. You don't need to go and start learning how to write. That is instinctive behavior, by learned behavior. So at any time. And that doesn't mean that if you give birth to a child now, you and your child will have the same writing. No. Is it possible? No. If you learn how to ride bicycle, if they wake you up, please take that bicycle, quickly run to the junction, go and buy bread. Your parents might not know how to ride the bicycle, but you knew how to ride the bicycle. Talent. You can learn. Some talents are learned, some are hereditary. That was the one we were doing variation. Some are intelligent, some are brave, some are calm, some are brave, some are stupid, some are aggressive, some are non-aggressive. Those ones are heritable. But the one that you learn it cannot be transferred. They need to learn it. There are some things you know how to do, your parents don't know it. I'm talking about present. Not that you inherited it. And if you don't want to know it, if they take you, you can take a horse with the water, but not force the horse to drink water. Do you understand it? So that is what Landmark is saying. He believes so much that the organism they begin to learn, use and misuse organ. So you can use it and use it and use it and you change to another thing. That was what brought about the giraffe. The long neck of giraffe. They kept on stretching it. Keep on using it. On the thing, keep on lengthening according to the Landmark. But it cannot be transferred. Even if my papa is tall and my mama is dwarf, I might not be as a child. Dwarf might not be as tall as my dad. I might say something now. And I cannot say I'll be walking like this. And as I'm walking like this, after donkey years, I'll grow tall like this one. No, like that one. Is it possible? Those ones are hereditary. The next point, number 4. He said that frequently used organs. Frequently used organs. That is number 4. Frequently used organs become well developed. Frequently used organs become well developed, while the ones not used degenerates and becomes atrophied. Become atrophied, or let's use the word, or useless. This one that is not being used often become useless or atrophied. Why the one that is being used? Quite alright if you're, have you seen those children that does gymnastics? You know they keep moving like this. And by the time you know it, not that they cannot stand well, but any little thing you see them like this, unconsciously. Because they have grown to be doing that. There are some of you, during our own stage, when some guys, they saw girls, reproductive behavior, they're done like this. And when they're moving, and by the time you know it, they drop their trousers and they are moving like this. Unconsciously, as they started, the next thing you see them, they're always like this. Are you getting what I'm saying? Because it's often used. That is one of them that is continued. But the one that you're not using, that doesn't mean it's not useless. That's what they are disproving the Landmark. So what you use often, there are some of you, I don't know what, some that will always it started small, don't stop talking. By the time you know this place, as if there is a lump, small. Because it's often used, and this one is. Does it mean that this place is not used? It's useless? Are you getting what I'm saying? Well, that is what the number believed. I might say something now. Okay. Another last point, he said that well-developed or dominant acquired characters are inheritable. He also believed that well-developed or dominant acquired characters are inheritable. Well-developed acquired characters are inheritable. If I have acquired the riding or my dancing step doesn't mean that my child. So, do you think it can be inherited?
No.
You will inherit it. Explain. Explain. Your parents, your mother dances well. Huh? So now let's do your believing. That's your learning. Your learning, that is what we are going to. But he believed that acquired, I acquired it. It could be from an environment. Or because I am using my strength neck, I keep on using it. Or I am doing like this. When I do like this, and my daughter will now come up and do like this. It's heritable. How possible is that? Am I saying something now? But that is his belief. That's what you were using. And it becomes well developed to know it well. You don't need to think about it before doing it. That is heritable. That is his belief. But others disbelieve it. No. The one you acquired or you learn, it is not heritable. So what is heritable must go through the gene. Did I say something now?
Yes, ma'am.
That you are using something, the organs you are using often became more developed as of what, and then you can now transfer it to your offspring. It can be inherited by your offspring. So that is what is owned. We have mentioned about 5 things in his theory he believed so much. And when you come across use and disuse, that is the theory of Jilama. It comes out a lot in the question. They won't even mention most of these ones. But they say of which of these scientists of evolution believed in use and disuse. They mention their names. It's left for you. You will see Darwin. You might even see who is the father of cells? Robert Hooke. Who is the one of them that found out about protoplasm? Are you sure? It's Felix Dujardin? No? Oh, Felix Dujardin. We'll talk about all things found in plants are made up of cell. Scodin or Skewer? Matthias Scudin or one developed and found out that of plants and the other found out that of animal. Who? Stuan? For which one? Theodore Swan. Which one? Animal. What of Scudin? Plant. What of protoplasm? So they'll bring out all those names. You are the one that will choose the one that talked about use and disuse, or the one that talked about natural selection. So the Lama believed that so many things acquired from the environment, the one that you have used for a long time, and the one that is not used is useless. And those ones that have used for a long time and become more developed, you can easily use them, you don't need to learn them, can be transferred or can be inherited from parents to offspring. So that is Lamarck. And Lamarck used a long neck, paragraph. Lamarck used the long neck of giraffe to give example of his history. You know the spelling of giraffe? You know the spelling of giraffe? G-I-R-A. Thank you. Okay, Lamarck used the long neck of giraffe to give example of his history. First of all, the long neck of giraffe. That's paragraph. The long neck. Lamarck used the long neck of giraffe to give example of his history. That is example of his theory. First of all, paragraph. The long neck of giraffe arose from the need to browse, B-R-O-W-S-E, from the need, N-E-E-D, from the need to browse, B-R-O-W-S-E, from the need to browse on treetop, that is browsing on the treetop, from the need to browse on treetops, since there was a useful adaptation, comma, subsequent generation, since this was a useful adaptation, comma, subsequent generation, S-U-B-S-E-Q, subsequent generation of giraffe have been inheriting this acquired character, That is his own belief, has been inheriting this acquired character. That subsequent one with a long neck. But I don't believe that. All giraffes are known until at the time you believe that it started with a short, small, until finally those ones. And the other one started inheriting it. That is the Grandma belief. Full stop. Landmark theory is not acceptable. Landmark theory is not acceptable by modern scientists. The landmark theory is not acceptable by modern scientists because their findings shows that physical features of appearance acquired through use and disuse are not inheritable by offsprings. First stop, only characteristics represented in the genes are inherited. Only characteristics represented in the genes are inherited. Only characteristics represented in the genes are inherited. So you can see most of the scientists disapproved the findings of the landmark, because the landmark believed that all characters, all features, physical features acquired, when it is acquired from use and misuse, are being heritable. But the other scientists disapproved his belief and his theory, because there's no way physical characters acquired can be inheritable. It's only the acquired ones that are passed through genes can be heritable. For example, tallness. Are you saying I can acquire tallness from outside? The only thing I can manage to acquire is fairness, like Taiwo. And even for me, as I am now, to get to Taiwo, her color, I have to go through machinery. There are people that are doing it. I saw one. They went through machine. I don't know the chemicals. And by the time the whole thing began to react, it was a terrible. I might try to use cream, but that doesn't mean, no matter how dark I am, that I change myself to Taiwo, that I give a birth to a child that is light as Taiwo. Even if my husband is fair and I have used chemical to get the color like Taiwo, I can never have a child that this color or get that of Taiwo. I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's only inherited one. If I have my husband now as fair as Taiwo and with my own complexion, except if I inherited that fairness fully from my parents or recessive from my grandparents that I have, which means my husband, the two parents are maybe as fair as Taiwo, that we can have a child as fair as Taiwo. Did I say something now? Yes. Did you get what I mean? Yes. That I went to acquired, become Oyibo, like if that boy now, where they there? By tomorrow now, we will come become Oyibo. We will come become Oyibo. And one fine girl who knows she is dark and she doesn't want to affect her color might not know that that fairness is acquired. We will not be expected to have fairness like this. I know somebody sitting among us. The mother is very fair. Very, very fair. And the father is not really fair. The father is of this complexion. But because of the thickness of the fairness of the mother, and he himself came out with fairness. And if he married somebody like this, you know your friend. Because of the gene, we'll still talk about that. So that one is natural, but acquired one cannot be inherited. So that is why they are disproving the theory of gene lamma. The only thing that can be inherited is the characters that are being transferred via the gene. Did I say something now? Yes. That one can be acquired and inheritable. Yes? Okay. Stand up and answer the question.
Their parents are not Akintobi. Is that maybe they change the certain sport and they change the then they become Tobi. Is it true?
Not be true. That is Jinama theory. The only thing, if there must be, if they are, then it should be from the recessive gene. Maybe either the parents or both parents from the other, one is tall, or the two of them are tall and the other is short. It can. The child can grow with the help of diet as well. But that the two of them are short and they look bad. Grandma and grandpa short. He said they do sports. Wait, so now Jilama and the giraffe, let's see if they go. Hello, Sabe. Even if he goes to take some hormones, growth hormones, and be drinking the growth hormones as in drugs, it might not affect that. Is that clear? Yes. So let's look at Darwin's theory of evolution. How many more minutes do I have? 15. Okay, we can still do something there. Darwin's theory. Remember that the other scientists did not believe. Please take notes. You might come across why was Gilama theory disapproved. I believe you can answer that question. Yes. So the other scientists disagreed with what his theory, and they now use giraffe as an example. So let's look at these are the main two fathers of theories of evolution, and that is Jim Lama and Charles Darwin. So let's look at Charles Darwin theory of evolution. Darwin's theory of evolution. Darwin's theory of evolution. In 1858, Charles Darwin proposed a new theory. In 1858, Charles Darwin proposed a new theory that disproved or replaced Lamarck's theory. How many years difference? The other was what? 1809. 1801, and this one is 1858, 7 years. So then they were just believing more on what J. Lamarck believed. So in 1858, Charles Darwin proposed a new theory that replaces Lamarck's theory. First stop. His theory is based on 4 observations. His theory is based on 4 observations. His theory is based on 4 observations. On 4 observations. Thank you. 1. He said most organisms produce large number of offspring. Most organisms produce large number of organisms or offsprings. Sorry, large number of offsprings. More that can be expected to survive and reproduce. So most organisms produce large number of organisms, offsprings, that can be expected to survive and reproduce. That can be expected to survive and reproduce. The second one, he said the size of a given population, the size of a given population, the size of a given population remains fairly constant. Remains fairly constant, although they may fluctuate. What? If you're writing. What was that? What did I say when we started this? Although they fluctuate, yes, it's part of it. Although they may fluctuate. I said the size of an organism population remains fairly constant, although they may fluctuate. That is, they might change, although they remain fairly constant. He said that most of the offspring produced by organisms are more than the one that they might survive or reproduce. Then the third observation in his theory said individuals within a species always show variations. Individuals within species always show variations. Individuals within species always show variations. The last one said some variations are more favorable to existence in a given environment than others. Are more favorable to existence in a given environment than others. So since he does not believe in J. Lamarck's theory, he came up with his own, what he observed from his research that he carried out in 1858. He said the first one, he noticed that many organisms produces more offsprings that are expected to survive and reproduce. He said number 2, the size of a given population of organisms remain fairly constant, although they might fluctuate. And not only that, he said he noticed that individuals of the same species show variations. That is, there are differences that they exist amongst them. But one funny thing as we go further, we cannot actually dictate or say how these differences he noticed among them. Did I say something now? In his own research, after looking at what Jim Lamarck said, is disuse, the ones that are not often used are useless, but the ones that are used and used and used became well developed and can be transferred from parents to offspring, which was disproved. So he had a research, following what Jim Lamarck did in his own 1858, he found out that most living organisms produce more offsprings that can survive and reproduce. And not only that, he also realized that most of these organisms, in their behavior and everything about them, they remain fairly constant, although they might show some fluctuation, some differences among them. So he also noticed in his observation what he sees among organisms of the same species. There are some differences he noticed about them. There are some similarities he noticed about them that he called variation. Am I saying something now? He noticed that on organisms of the same species, unlike what he noticed, and even from parents to up to, he saw some likeness, things that are similar between parents and offspring. But he cannot prove how these things is being transferred from parents to offspring. But he noticed there are things that is changed from parents to offspring, but he cannot prove it. How did this happen? And that is how this man came in, recommending that make them to understand that the differences observed among individual species as a result of gene, the gene factor, combination of gametes from 2 different organisms of the same species bring about the differences that is being noticed on offspring. Because Darwin cannot really say the origin of the differences or the variation noticed among offsprings and their parents. Did that say something now? Yes. And in that case, from that research, he deduced his theory from what he observed, the 4 observations he made from his research. He was able to deduce some things. And what are the things he deduced from his theory, or what he found out from his observation on the research he carried out in 1858. Are we there? Are we there? Yes. Are you sure you're there? Yes. Don't tell me you're tired. What should you write? What's your last sentence? A 6 in a given, okay. Paragraph. From this observation, from these 4 observations, Darwin made the following deduction, deduction. From these observations, Darwin made the following deduction. 1. All living organisms are constantly involved. All living organisms are constantly involved in a struggle for existence. In his deduction, he found out that all living organisms are in a struggle for a constant existence. Now, you will not write that thing down. From what we observe in our follow studies, give a word for this. What can you deduce? Just give one word. Huh? God bless you. Competition. He said he found out that all living organisms are involved in a struggle for existence. And I said I needed one word to stand for that. He gave me the word, and that is competition. All living organisms in an environment, they compete. That is what they struggle for survival. Point number 2 from what he deduced. In a population, those that tend to survive, are products of the individuals whose variations give them competitive advantage over the rest. I repeat myself. In a population, those that tend to survive are product of the individuals whose variations give them competitive advantage over the rest. Anybody left behind? I should repeat myself. Oh no, I should repeat myself. No. Then the third one that he observed or he deduced, the favorable variation they possess, are passed to their offspring. Full stop. Paragraph. Darwin thus identified. T-H-U-X. Darwin thus identified environmental pressure as the main cause of natural selection. Thus, Darwin identified environmental pressure as the main cause of natural selection. Full stop. Another paragraph, they cause the favorable variations to accumulate. They cause the favorable variation to accumulate and the unfavorable ones to be weeded out. They cause or they make the favorable variation to accumulate, that is, gather and stay there, and the unfavorable one to what? To what? To wither that. The unfavorable one to wither out. Especially we see that in plants. Shebi? We see that in plants. Where you have the mango tree and the grasses, they cannot stay there. I'm just giving that as an example. That is not. So Darwin believed that the favorable characters or offsprings that you notice from parent to offspring, they believe in that variation. But he doesn't know. He couldn't prove how this variation came about. He believed they are being transferred from parent to offspring, but he could not prove how it got to that. You see the differences, similarities among individuals of the same species, and also differences between the offspring and the parents. We see a lot of similarities, but he cannot say. So he believed that those ones are being transferred from parents to offspring, but he cannot prove how they are being transferred. How do we get to the individual? And that thing too disproved what the Lama was saying. I believe you can, if they ask you to list the theories of, you can do that. You can do that. Oh, Darwin. I know you can do it. It's very simple. Highly simple. So most times it comes out in the questions and it's just one like this, they expect you. And that will give you about 4 marks or 5 marks depending on the way they ask it. State the theories or the observation, what Charles Darwin observed in his own research concerning evolution. Or let's quickly wrap it up here before I go to the example that he did. Before we go to what Darwin used as an example, so we'll stop there for now. Any question thus far? I believe if you're asked to give examples and theories, if you're asked to disprove what Jean Lamarck said concerning individual species and his theories, the similarities they acquired in terms of evolution, I believe you can do that. They are easy. Go and attend questions on evolution for now. Please, the areas, you will see question on that giraffe. We'll still look at what Darwin used to prove his own. He went to one island of Palos, and he used these birds as an example to prove his own. He used a specific birds in order to explain his own belief in the island of Palos. So we'll look at that. Tomorrow, I think I'll continue a little bit so that I'll be able to finish before the theory about the rules and regulation of theory of practical. But we'll finish what Darwin said, because after this, we are going to see the differences between Darwin's theory and the Lamarck theory. Wyatt asked that a lot. Differences between Darwin's theory and the Lamarck theory. It's a little bit large topic, but I believe we'll finish on time so that we can go to genetics and then we'll come back to others. Any questions?